Have a good day. In this video, you will learn on how to solve quadratic equations by extracting square roots. The following will be our objectives. First, express quadratic equation in the form x squared is equal to k. Determine the number of solution of quadratic equation by extracting square roots. And lastly, solve quadratic equations by extracting square roots. The following are the steps or the procedures on how are we going to solve quadratic equation by extracting square roots. First, we have to make sure that the given quadratic equation is transformed in the form x squared is equal to k if necessary. Second, we are to apply here the square root property after we transform the given quadratic equation in that form, wherein if x squared is equal to k, then x is equal to positive negative the square root of k. And then lastly, we have to solve for the value of x by finding its root. Always remember these three different situations for us to easily identify the number of solutions of a given quadratic equations based on the value of k. First, if the value of k is greater than 0, then it has two real solutions. Next, if k is equal to 0, then it has one real solution. And lastly, if k is less than 0, then it has no real solutions or no real roots. Let's have the following example. First, let us solve x squared is equal to 9 by extracting square roots. So given, we have to write our given, which is x squared is equal to 9. The first step is we have to write the equation in the form x squared is equal to k. So since the given equation is already written in this form, we'll just simply copy the given. Next, we are now to identify how many solutions do we have. Since the value of k is 9 and our k is greater than 0, then you can say that it has two solutions. Okay, so later on, as we move, mapoprove natin what are these two solution of the given quadratic equation. Next step, we can now apply here the square root property. So by rewriting the given quadratic equation, lagyan po natin both sides of our equation ng radical sign. Okay? Then, we are now to solve. So, the square root of x squared, so cancel po natin itong radical sign and the exponent. Ano na lang pong matira, we have here x on this side. And then, the square root of 9, so we have here 3. So, that's why you have here a positive and a negative 3. So, therefore, if you're going to separate these two values of x, so our x sub 1 will be positive 3 and our x sub 2 will be negative 3. So these are the two solutions of the given quadratic equation, and we solve the roots by extracting its square. Next, let us solve x squared is equal to 0 by extracting square roots. Again, given we have here x squared is equal to 0. So since the given quadratic equation is now already written into this form, so we'll just simply rewrite. So as you can see, the value of k is 0. How many solutions if the value of k is 0? So it has one solution. Then afterwards, we are to apply here the square root property. So, rewriting the given quadratic equation, lagyan po natin pareho ng radical sign. Then, we now have here, let us solve. So, cancel po yung radical sign and the exponent. So, x na lang po. And then, what is the square root of 0? Okay, so the square root of 0 is 0. So, that will be the value of our x, or that will be our solution. So, isa lang po from the given quadratic equation. Next, We have here x squared plus 16 is equal to 0. Again, rewriting our given. Okay, first step, we have to write since the given quadratic equation is not yet written onto this form. So what will you do to positive 16? I-move po natin or ililipat natin si positive 16 to the other side of our equation para maging ganito po yung itsura ng ating equation. So therefore, we now have here x squared is equal to negative 16. Okay? So, since the value of our k here is less than 0, kasi po negative, so it has no solution. So, wala po tayong makukuha dyan na solution. Okay? Since the value of our k here is less than 0. So, we are still apply the square root property. So, copying the given quadratic equation, lagyan po natin ng radical sign. Okay, so cancel, or let us now solve. Cancel po si radical sign and exponent. So you have here the value of x, which is positive negative, the square root of negative 16. So wala naman pong square root ang negative numbers. That's why we say that this quadratic equation has no solution. Next, we have here x squared minus 25 is equal to 0. So again, we are to solve the given quadratic equation by extracting its square root. Rewriting the given, okay? Rewriting the given quadratic equation into this form. So since hindi pa po siya nakasulat into this form, we are to rewrite. So si negative 25, ililipat po natin siya sa kabilang side ng ating equation. So therefore, our new equation now will be x squared is equal to 25. Okay? So since the value of k is greater than 0, how many solutions do we have? Very good. We have here 2 solutions. So later on, malalaman natin ano po yung dalawang solution ng ating given na quadratic equation. Next, applying the square root property. So you have here x squared is equal to 25. So lagay po natin ang ating radical sign. So let us now solve. So you have here x is equal to, what is the square root of 25? Very good. The square root of 25 is positive negative 5. So again, it has 2 solutions, which are positive 5 and negative 5. Okay, so I hope nasusundan po kung paano tayo mag-solve ng quadratic equation by extracting square roots. Next, solve naman natin 4x squared is equal to 49. So again, ito po yung ating given. So we have to write the given quadratic equation again on this form. So since siya po ay nakasulat na into that form, we'll just simply rewrite. So since the value of our k is 49, which is greater than 0, then we have here 2 solutions. Okay? Next, what are we going to do to 4x squared is equal to 49? So, kailangan or apply tayo ng division property of equality. Okay? So, we have to remove this 4 na constant. Kailangan po maging constant ng ating quadratic term is 1. Okay? So, that's why dividing both sides by 4. So, you have now here x squared is equal to 49 over 4. So, since hindi naman po divisible yung 49 by 4, we'll just simply copy. Then, saka po tayo mag-a-apply dito ng square root property. So, writing the radical sign or putting radical sign to the both sides of our equation. So, ito na po yung ang magiging itsura ng ating equation. Simplify them or let us solve. So, you have here x is equal to positive negative 7 over 2. Since the square root of 49 is 7 and the square root of 4 is positive 2 or positive negative 7 over 2. So that is the 2 solutions of the given quadratic equation. Okay? For the last example, we have to solve the quantity of x minus 1 squared, which is equal to 0. So again, that is our given equation. So we have to write them in the form x squared is equal to k. Okay, so we'll just simply rewrite since that is already written into this form. So what is the value of our k? The value of our k here is 0. How many solutions do we have? Okay, so we have here only one solution. Next, we are to apply here the square root property or the square root property. Then, we have to just simply put both sides of our equation a radical sign. And then, we will solve. So, pag sinolve po natin yan, automatic, cancel na po. Ang matira na lang dito ay x minus 1 is equal to 0. Okay? So, since we are to solve for the value of x, ita-transpose po natin si negative 1 to the other side of our equation so that the value of x or the solution of the given quadratic equation here is positive 1. Okay? So that is on how to solve quadratic equation by extracting square root. So I hope that you learned how to solve quadratic equation by extracting square roots. So that's all. Thank you for watching and thank you for listening. Goodbye.